Hi, I'm Cifelli with National Dairy Council, and today I'd like to talk with you about a question that I get asked often. Does dairy cause inflammation? Inflammation is our body's natural response to a cut, an injury, or an infection. We've all experienced inflammation, that redness and swelling that accompanies a cut or a scrape. Inflammation is our body's first line of defense to help protect us. Inflammation isn't necessarily bad, but we want it to do its job and then shut off. We don't want what's called chronic inflammation. Luckily, there are simple ways to combat chronic inflammation. Not surprisingly, at the top of the list is eating a healthy diet. What may be surprising is to learn that dairy foods, milk, cheese, and yogurt, have been consistently shown to be either neutrally or beneficially associated with chronic inflammation. So let's talk a little bit about the science in more detail. A systematic review published in 2020 in the Journal of the American College of Nutrition looked at 27 randomized controlled trials. The study found that dairy foods, milk, cheese, and yogurt, and dairy proteins, whey and casein, were either beneficially or neutrally associated with chronic inflammation. More specifically, the dairy foods had a beneficial or neutral effect on inflammation, while the dairy proteins tended to have no impact, good or bad, on inflammation. What's really important is this was the third independent systematic review that asked the question, does dairy cause inflammation, and looked at the science. A review published in 2017 that looked at over 50 clinical trials showed that dairy foods were either neutrally or beneficially associated with inflammation as well. In their study, dairy foods were beneficially associated with inflammation in those who had an underlying metabolic condition, such as type 2 diabetes or cardiovascular disease. In another systematic review published in 2019, those authors found that dairy foods were not linked with inflammation. So altogether, these three systematic reviews show that at worst, dairy has no impact on inflammation, but in some circumstances and in some people, it may help reduce chronic inflammation. Finally, what's really cool is there was recently a publication in Nutritional Epidemiology that looked at a nutrient ranking score for inflammation, a food ranking score. They showed that dairy foods and fruits and vegetables, especially dark green leafy and orange colored vegetables, were associated with lower inflammation. Not surprisingly, all of these foods are abundant in the dietary guidelines. So, the takeaway is eating the recommended servings of dairy, which for adults is 3 servings a day, can help lower inflammation. More, while it may seem boring and it's often repeated but not really followed, eating a healthy, balanced diet is the key to lowering your inflammation. So, have a yogurt with some nuts. Sprinkle some cheese on top of a salad. Mix those dairy and plant foods up together. However you do it and whatever tastes delicious to you, you know that if you're getting your dairy and you're getting your fruits and vegetables, you're going to have a lower risk of having chronic inflammation. Thank you.